Hey guys, it's Toxic Kid or Amber or whatever you want to call me, I guess. Um, Thanks for all the feedback on everything. I hope you enjoyed my last video. My sister really enjoyed making it with me and stuff. Yeah. But today's video is going to be about the Museum of Death. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. There's one in LA, Hollywood. There's one in New Orleans. But I went there and I just wanted to share my experience of that with you. To start off, why I went there in the first place. Many of you probably don't know this. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I am interested in the behavioral patterns of serial killers and what goes through their mind and their reactions to everything and what makes them kill. You can ask me about any serial killer and I'll tell you what he did, what his nickname was, or her. There are many female serial killers and stuff. But it was really interesting because I wouldn't say one of my favorites, but one of my biggest interest serial killers would be Ricky Ramirez. And at the Museum of Death, they actually had a piece of his hair and the sweatshirt he wore in prison. So I thought that was kind of cool that they can get that stuff. But yeah, so my friend told me about it when I was in 8th grade, and I've been wanting to go for so long. And so my sister came down, and I finally bugged her enough to say yes, and she took me there, and I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. I went with my two sisters, pretty much three, because it was my older sister's best friend. She's like my sister. And then my older sister's boyfriend, and he's like my brother. They've been dating forever. They just need to get married. Winking. But yeah, so let me tell you about it. It was actually kind of, I wouldn't say like, to me, it was life-changing, I guess. I would say that. Because I didn't know some stuff. I didn't know what was going on with these people. I didn't know what was happening. But I wanted to figure out stuff. And I'm warning you now, I'll put it like everywhere, but the Museum of Death is very graphic. Like, immensely graphic. But, so when you first walk in, it's the desk where you buy your tickets to go in, $15 to get in, and then to the left you have a gift shop type thing, and they have shirts and stuff. I really wanted to get one, but I didn't have money with me at this time because I didn't know they had a gift shop, but I get to go again soon, hopefully, and I'm going to get a pin. And I want this one shirt, and it has all of the most notorious serial killers that you can think of, like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ricky Ramirez, John Wayne Gacy Jr. It even has Charles Manson on there, even though he wasn't a serial killer, he was just a cult leader. But yeah. So once you walk into this little area, and it's like a tent, not a tent, but a curtain, and it's the artwork from these serial killers. It's where they have Ricky's hair and sweatshirt, but then there's an entire wall dedicated to John Wayne Gacy Jr.'s work. It's pretty much self-portraits of Pogo the Clown. That's it. That was all he drew. He drew himself as the clown. He drew himself when he was luring children, boys, to kill. And they actually have his shoes there, which I thought was interesting because I would assume that was part of evidence, but they're allowed to have them there, so that's pretty cool. And then when you walk out of that room, you walk into I'm not sure, it was mostly about lynching and hanging people and like beheadings and stuff, so like executions, that's the word. And it had a outfit from someone who was executed in the electric chair, and then it has pictures and stuff of people getting hanged and lynched and beheaded. They have a severed head there. Not sure if that would interest most people, but it was a cool experience. And then the other room you walk into, and it's like a mortuary. My obsession with mortuaries. Okay, so career choice number 1, being a dietitian, studying nutritional science and going into all of that stuff. Career number 2, mortician. I know that's a weird job, not many people like that job, but I'm not grossed out very easily and things don't scare me as much, I guess. So it interests me to be a mortician. I mean, I don't want to spend my time around serial killers, dead bodies. I don't want to spend my time around serial killers either. But I don't want to spend my time around dead bodies, but it's in high demand. Not a lot of people are willing to become morticians. So you can get a job easily with that. And then that being said, it had like the layout, it showed you videos of what a mortician does, it had a coffin, it had the different religious coffins, it had a Day of the Dead area, and stuff like that. And it was just a bunch of mortician stuff and what you would find in a mortuary. But then you walked out of that area and you walked into a hallway, and if you walk straight, it would be a room. It's more like a closet, that's about the size of it, but it was a room filled with skulls. Some were humans, some were animals, some were anything. There was like a snake skeleton, a cat skeleton, a few human heads. They were like decomposed and it was just the skull of them, but it looked pretty cool. My sister got kind of freaked out by all the things that they had there, so she had to go out. I apologize to her again. I'm sorry, Jenny, if that scared you. I didn't mean for you to get freaked out by that. But, yeah, and then it had a wall full of car crash incidents and what happened to the victims of car crashes. And then they had, I don't know if you guys have heard of Heaven's Gate, but it was a mass suicide in 1999, I believe, when they thought the world was going to end. Or, no, it was when, I don't remember the year, but it was about when a lunar eclipse was going to happen, I believe. And they thought the world was going to end because it was the first one in like thousands of years. But, so I think it was 32 people killed themselves wearing a specific Nike shoe. And they just laid on bunks, and then someone poisoned the punch, and everyone got their share of a punch, and they had a little room. And then you can look through this little hole in the door. It was like a key shape. The key shape looks like that, yeah. And you can just look in there. And it was fake, of course, and then I had about the person who convinced everyone to kill themselves, and he told them the world was going to end and they were going to die, so why not die by their own hands? Which I find ridiculous, but any suicidal cult is out of bounds. Like, you should not do that. I do have things against that. If it offends you, good, because you should be offended. That's kind of bad. You shouldn't kill yourself. It's really bad to think of have suicidal thoughts, think of committing suicide. Just don't do it. I know people who have been through stuff and everything, and you just stay away from suicide. If you have those thoughts, seek help. But back to the museum, it had a room, half of it was for Charles Manson, and what I thought was cool was they had his guitar, Charles Manson's guitar he used to like get people to like him and things. So they had that. And then they also had the quilt, the Nazi quilt, that his followers made, how it had like one thing going this way and then the next one this way, this way, this way, like, so it looked like a swastika. And you can actually touch the quilt like it wasn't in anything. And then the other side of that room was about Elizabeth Short, or many of you may know her as the Black Dahlia. That is what mostly got me into understanding serial killers and wanting to learn more about them. I've heard about her murder, I heard about the mutilation of her body, how there was no blood left in her body, and it just like sparked something in my head. I'm like, what makes people do that? Why would they want to do that? So I wanted to learn about that, and I learned about her and her killing and murder, and which prompted me to become really in love with the Black Dahlia flower. When I can get a tattoo, that is going to be my first one. Not sure where I get it, either on my ribs or on my elbow, because I kind of want a sleeve, but let's see where life goes from here. I may change by the time I actually get a tattoo, but that's all good. And then you walked into the suicide room, and this room was gory. This room was really, really gory. It was like a slim hallway, and the beginning was like shotgun to the head suicide, and being, and like hanging yourself and stuff like that. And that kind of got to me, like that room kind of freaked me out a little bit, so I kind of walked straight through it, but I got stopped at the end of the hallway of that room because it was an entire area dedicated to Hitler and just the mass genocide he did, how he got so many people killed just because of this one man. Like, that shouldn't have happened. I'm glad the war was over. So many more people would have been dead if we didn't stop them, but so many people would still be alive if Hitler didn't become insane and start killing mass populations. But yeah. And on to the next part. It was like a room, and it was like theatrical murder, and it was just a bunch of cool stuff about, like, there was, I forget his name, but it was this one guy, and he actually committed suicide on stage. Like, he was doing his band, whatever, doing his stuff, and he killed himself in front of a bunch of people. Not very cool, man, but that, he did it, it was done. But then there was a sign-in book, and I wrote my name in that sign-in book. I wrote it in Japanese and in English. I know I'm a little weird, but that's cool. So if you see someone in there named Amber in 2 different languages, and it's in red colored pencil, you know that was me. But yeah, I really hope I get to go back soon, and my hope is for you guys to go and check that out. I don't know if you'll be interested in that, but it was a great experience. I am happy I got to go, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I was kind of like, and because this is a serious topic, it's life and death, and I don't want to be like, oh hey, woo, yeah, let's go, people died. No, like, it's serious. People are dying every day because other people have something in their brain that wants to kill them, and I don't know what that is, and I need to figure that out. Like, I need to know why someone is pushed to kill someone else, kill multiple people. Like, one time, it's not understandable, but it's different than killing multiple people just for the fun of it. Before I get too heated, I'm just going to say thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rock on, peace out, rock on, I said that, but like and subscribe.